So Kiro is generally available now. So what that means is we are fully launched, and with that launch, we have 3 new features that I want to show you. First, we added in our new checkpointing system. So when you're using Vibe or Spec mode, you can easily roll back changes. Next, we're introducing Kiro for Teams via AWS's IAM Identity Center. This lets admins monitor usage and access via a new management dashboard. And lastly, we added in this really nice feature that integrates directly into Spec development. It's called property-based testing. And I'm going to show you exactly how that works in a minute. So I'm going to jump into a Nuxt.js application. We're going to walk through each one of these features and see how they work. I'd love to hear what you think. Make sure you leave a comment on this video. Let's jump in. I have a brand new Nuxt application open here. It's basically just a hello world. You can see here there's nothing else in there. I installed Tailwind CSS and I created some steering docs just to get us started for this new task management system. It just talks about the structure and tech. You can do that easily by just clicking in an empty project. It'll be a create steering docs. So what I want to do now is I want to show you how to add a feature but then roll it back using our new checkpointing system. So this page looks pretty bare. I'd love to have a nice task management system homepage. So let's ask it to do that. Please create a nice looking task management system homepage. And you can see right away, as soon as I typed that in, it created this checkpointing box at the top here, and it allows me to restore. So let's see what happens after we're done updating this home page here. Great, it went ahead and did it. So if we take a look here, refresh, let me restart the server real quick. Okay, so here it is. Stay organized, get things done. Looks nice, create task, track progress, dark mode. Let's imagine we wanted to make a change to it. Let's ask it, please, and I always use please and thank yous. That's just who I am. Please change the look and add a purple gradient to all the buttons and background. So now, of course, modern web development, everybody's using this purple gradient. Let's see what happens after we ask it to do this. Okay, it went ahead and made the changes. And you can see here, just from looking at the Tailwind, I have a lot of purple here. Text purple, 600 color. Let's take a look what it looks like. Okay, now we have our purple everywhere. But let's imagine that we don't like this look and we want to go back to where it was. So if we come back up here, we do have now this new checkpoint, which we can click on. So let's click on the restore. And it's asking us, restoring this checkpoint discards all changes made after this point in the session and removes conversation history from the context. Are we sure? And of course, it's irreversible, but we'll click confirm. And looks like it went ahead and deleted all that purple text out. If I kind of go back to the next screen, it's back to the green text. So this is really helpful. So if you are vibe coding or using spec coding and you're going back and forth a lot, try this feature out if you want to go back to a previous checkpoint. You can even go back several different checkpoints if you like. It's really useful. So I think the next thing we want to try to do is look at this new property-based testing, which is really amazing. So right now, if we just open up another tab here, I have vibe mode and spec mode. And let's create a new spec for this. Now, this is supposed to be a task management system. So we can delete and update tasks. We're going to be using Postgres and a Docker container. So I'm going to create a new spec for this to get started. All right, so I have given it the information of what I want this new feature to look like. Spec-driven development is amazing at this, at taking these kind of high-level requirements and then condensing them down. So let's see how it does here. And I'll show you how this property-based testing works with this spec-driven development here. Okay, it created the requirements document. I'm just going to leave it as is, but always when you're working spec-driven development, you probably want to double-check all this. This looks fine for me. I'm going to move to the design phase. Okay, it created the design. It's doing a little bit of extra checking here. You can see it says now I need to complete the pre-work analysis before writing the correctness properties section. So the correctness properties section is this property-based testing. Essentially what we're doing is we're testing against the spec that has been written. So that's a really powerful thing because as we are going through the tasks and having Kiro complete each task, it can actually run tests against the requirements that we just created to make sure everything's okay. So let's take a look at how that looks in a second. Okay, here is the completed design document. And if we scroll all the way to the bottom, we start seeing all these correctness properties. So these properties define the expected behavior of the task management system, and we validate through property-based testing. So one of them is task creation with title persisted correctly, optional fields for persistent task creation round trip. So lots of different ones that will make sure that what we have here in this requirements document actually gets tested and it works as we expect it. So this looks good. Let's take a look at what it looks like in the task phase. It created the tasks, and now it's giving us an option to keep optional tasks, faster MVP, or make all tasks required. I always do this one, and then I go into each one of the tasks, and I either enable them or disable them for any of these tests. In this case, we'll keep optional tasks, and let's take a look at what it looks like here. I have set up a Docker database infrastructure, installed the required dependencies. And if I kind of scroll down, I see some of these property tests. So this one, write property test for task creation round trip. And there's another one, optional field for persistence. These are really nice to have because in the previous tasks, we are actually creating the database, we're setting up the connection and repository layer, we're doing all that, and now we want to test it. So let's do this. Let's see what this kind of looks like. I'm going to mark this task required for this property test, and I'm going to make this task required as well. And then I'm going to ask it to go through these tasks and complete them. Now there's two ways you can do this. If you've seen some of my previous videos, you can click the start task, or we can just ask it to go through it. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask it to go through it. Can you complete tasks 1 through 3.4? So that should get us all the way to this one. And I'm going to fast forward this section so you can see what it looks like after it's done testing everything. It will take a moment. Also, this is probably the time before I'd start this, I would go through, maybe have it condense some of these tasks together, delete some of the tasks, but I'm just going to let it go ahead and go through all these. So now it has begun to start testing. So it created some tests. It's on 3.3 right now. And it ran Docker Compose up, and it created a test file. So we can kind of take a look at what it's doing here. We can even see it's trying to figure out what happened, what was wrong with the username password. It's pretty powerful at this point. It's just trying to figure out exactly what's happening. So it's found out there was a previous database that was already running. It's trying to fix that. But let's take a look at some of the tests it was creating while it's doing this. So if we look at the task report repository test, here's all the tests it's doing. So it's really trying to figure out, based on these requirements, what tests would make more sense. So here is the task creation round trip to create different tasks. If we go back into the menu here, explore, we have, of course, our connection and task repository. So it's just trying to get this first test working, and then it's going to continue on and building the tests to make sure that all the requirements are satisfied, and it'll test against those requirements. So let's see how it goes. All right, so it went ahead and finished all 1 through 3.4, including these property-based tests. You can kind of see if you go back into the command line here, this terminal, that you see that it tried a few times, it found a few errors and went back and forth, it fixed some Docker issues, and it's working correctly. So it was able to verify the previous requirements. And you can see this pattern everywhere inside this doc. Every time it does something, it has some property-based testing to make sure that it works as it expects. And if you look at the directory, we can see now this task repository test, added property 1, property 2, optional fields are persisted. It does some asserts, it creates some tasks, and it works as you expect it. One thing I want to do is let me show you kind of a final version of this. I have another branch. So I'm going to go back to the GA branch that I created earlier. And let's try this. Let me just restart the server. Okay, you can see here is what it looks like when it's done. I can add some tasks, test description. I can create it, and then I have a way to edit it or delete it if I want to. So that should work fine. And then if I look inside my app here and see I have here's the task list from this one. There was a bunch of property-based tests. I can kind of take a look at what it did. So it has this API here. In the API, here's all the different get deletes inside of it. I have some tests here, like this index test. So every single one of these operations, I had some tests created for it using this property-based testing. So like task list completeness, insert task. So it's like just double checking everything I'm doing. You can see it did it for everything between all the gets and puts and the deletes and all the tasks there. So that's it. One other thing I just want to quickly talk about is that we did have some updates to the way you can log in for existing AWS customers if you want to use the AWS IAM Identity Center. You can see here some screenshots of here, what that looks like. This is really great for enterprise customers. Customers have big teams. If you want to look that way, just let us know. Lots of information at Kirodotdev. So thanks everyone for watching. Today we looked at property-based testing, AWS IAM Identity Center, and also this new checkpointing. Kiro is now generally available. I'm really excited for everyone to jump in and keep trying it. Give us feedback, leave a comment below, and check it out at Kirodotdev. Thanks.